Hello, my name is Marg and I'm the founder and creator of The Study Coach. With 19 years experience as a senior secondary English teacher, I noticed that students were becoming increasingly disheartened and frustrated with study. Numerous students I taught and worked with as a mentor and tutor were expressing that they just didn't know how to study. They had the best intentions and a genuine desire to improve, but they didn't have the skills necessary to set up and implement an effective study schedule. Often this led to one of two things: feeling defeated and giving up, or burnout through a more is more approach. It was out of this growing need that I decided to create the Essential Study Skills online series. The aim of the series is to offer an affordable, practical program that equips you with the skills to design a personal, clear, targeted, and most importantly, effective study plan. I have drawn upon my 19 years of teaching experience, educational psychology, and personal application of these methods to develop a resource that is aimed at taking the mystery, frustration, and purposelessness out of study. On the surface, this seems like such an obvious question with a straightforward answer. Most of us have an idea of what study is, probably something along the lines of revising and memorizing content so you can get ready for an exam or assessment. And by definition, that's pretty accurate. It's when we get to the second part of the sentence, why do students struggle with it, that we start to realize that the what study is and the how of actually applying that deceptively simple definition is where the problem lies. Now, for the most part, schools don't have lessons or subjects that explicitly and effectively teach students the skill of study. They most likely advise and strongly encourage students to study, and they may also provide a diary or planner and some resources, but then students are pretty much left to their own devices to work out what to do with all of that information. Add to this the large cognitive load on students due to a curriculum that is increasingly demanding and rapidly paced, that is overburdened with content, especially as students move into secondary schooling and even more so in senior secondary schooling, and we risk cognitive overload, which is when your limited working memory becomes overwhelmed and cannot take in or process any more information. And it's really not surprising that many students are just trying to stay afloat and are living in a constant state of stress. With all of this in mind, I decided to research ways to best support students and design the Essential Study Skills online series based on proven research to reduce the strain on cognitive load, to enhance transfer of learning from their limited working memory into the seemingly unlimited long-term memory, and to provide students with a clear and supported way to take targeted action with their study. Most students engage in what I term reactive study. It tends to follow a pattern like this. They're issued with an assessment notification of a task that is due in 2 weeks' time, usually for multiple subjects all within the same time frame. So they suddenly have 4 or more assessment tasks due and set to work preparing for them. Over the next 2 weeks, they'll spend hours on each task and get them done just in time for submission. Now, some students may achieve strong results in the immediate task. Research does indicate that that can be the case. But the problem is the reactive study method employed here has been proven to be significantly inferior in regards to long-term memory retention and retrieval, which is problematic for half-yearly, trial and HSC exams that will assess the content again in 6 to 8 months' time. Also, the cognitive load on your limited working memory has been enormous, as well as the demand on your time over this 2-week period. In short, you are left physically and mentally exhausted. But while all of this has been taking place, teachers have moved on to the next topic or module, and you need to try and stay on top of that, because in a few weeks' time, you will get the next influx of assessment notifications, and the cycle will begin again. So if you think of this reactive study process in terms of hours of study banked, a student who spends 5 hours of reactive study per assessment task for 5 subjects over this 2-week period will accumulate 25 hours of study, assuming for the sake of comparison that the information and skills will be retained. However, what if instead you took a proactive approach to study? Rather than waiting until 2 weeks out, you looked at the content and skills that the task required of you at the beginning of the unit and assessed your areas of need, and then engaged in a consistent, targeted study routine over the 8 or so weeks leading up to the task. This allows you to take advantage of research into educational psychology that has proven that distributed study practices significantly contribute to greater long-term retention and retrieval of content and skills, while also allowing for a reduction in cognitive load and cognitive overload by limiting the demand on working memory and transferring the information and skills into your long-term memory, allowing you the opportunity for success not just in the immediate task but in future exams that will require you to draw upon this information again. So if we think of this in terms of hours of study banked again, let's assume for the sake of comparison that you study proactively those 5 subjects for a total of 1 hour and 40 minutes per day. That equates to 20 minutes per subject per day. 6 days a week for the 8 weeks leading up to the assessments. Over those 8 weeks, you will bank 80 hours of study. Now, not only is this a significant increase from the 25 hours of reactive study, but it is also study that research proves will have greater retention in your long-term memory, meaning you can access it again in 6 to 8 months' time when the exams hit. I have designed the series around the proven research from educational psychology to best support students by reducing cognitive overload, utilising the benefits of distributed study, interleaving and spaced retrieval to develop a practical and effective study program that is aimed at empowering students with the skills to direct their study, manage their time, reduce stress, anxiety and burnout, and provide them with the best opportunity for success. I don't just send you some documents and templates. I teach you through a series of instructional videos how to use each one so the mystery is removed. And it's not just for the initial 12 weeks of study plans. Once you have completed this series and learnt how to set up, adhere to, and measure the success of your strategic study plan, you can continue to apply those skills.